Yeah, it's time for another team profile and projection. This is Talkin' Baseball, brought to you by DraftKings. Very excited to talk about the Milwaukee Brewers. Jake, say it in Wayne's World voice.
Milwaukee.
Yeah, wow. Hi there. That was Jake. Trevor's here. I'm here. 20 minutes on the clock. Little preview of the Brewers season. Wait. Hold up. We recorded this episode before they signed JBJ, so we're adding on a little addendum to the front. Is that the correct usage of the word? Addendum?
No, it's addendum.
Addendum.
Yes, nice to meet you.
Like Ed DeBedvix.
Addendum.
Okay. Well, JBJ will now be an outfielder for this Brewers team. We obviously didn't talk about this. I think everything else probably stays the same that we discussed. Any changes here? The only thing I want to say, and we kind of just talked about this before we recorded, him being a lefty and the three other outfielders being righties, I think JBJ is going to get a good amount of run because he can spell everyone with a righty pitcher on the mound. There's a lot of righties. Not that his hitting is ever the reason he's in there, but maybe.
Yeah,
well,
yelly lefty.
Yelich is a left-hander.
My bad.
It's all right.
Why is he red? Did you see what happened here, Jake? On the screen, these bottom three lefties are all red. So I thought
maybe he's giving himself a
I
challenge this year.
was only looking at red.
I don't know.
Isn't yelly not? Oh, I see what you're saying.
Yeah, I just saw, the lefties are red, and then there was no more red. But yeah, Yelich is a lefty.
Yelich is good enough to...
He's playing every day. Yelich isn't...
Trev, do it, Big Daddy.
I think that this is obviously great depth for the team. We're not having a DH in the NL this year, possibly next year, but not this year. So when you need a defensive replacement out there, if there's a pinch hit situation, you got a guy to go out there. I think he also spells a lot of these guys. You know, I see Jackie Bradley Jr. starting 3 games a week, 4 games a week, depending on how it's going.
Yeah.
You know, like if Avisail's going off, Kane's going off, then maybe he doesn't play. But if they slip a little bit, Jackie gets hot, they have options, I guess, is the main takeaway.
Yeah, and Kane sat out last year. He's going to be 35 this year, so, you know, I wouldn't expect him to be built up for 162. You're going to need depth this season. And it's NL baseball, man. You know, whether it's subbing in to make a defensive lineup of death, I mean, JBJ and Lorenzo Kane in one outfield, you could go 2-man. Doesn't matter if Yelly or Avisail's finishing the game. And guys are going to get hurt. All of these guys are going to get some run. And watch out for the Brewers maybe stealing something from the Rays here. They can get very platoony. They have a lot of lefties. They have a lot of righties. So on any given day, they might stack against you and then flip when that bullpen comes back out. So Brewers baseball.
Top-heavy lineup, top-heavy rotation. Good. They shored up their defense this year, or at least made it better with Wong and now with JBG helping out in center field or wherever. So we'll go back to the rest of the episode, which I forget. Kyle did want me to tell you, Trev, that every time you read the lineup, you're always like, well, this isn't positive. This is, things can move. And with the Brewers, you were like, their outfield is shored up. It's Avisail, Kane, Yelly. He was like, the one time Trev said it with confidence, they changed it.
It's all good. You know what? I'm happy for them. I think he's a great player. Here's the thing about Lorenzo Kane. You called him 35. He didn't start playing baseball until he was like 14. So you got to take away, 8 years off that? So he's basically, what is that now?
He's got more than his prime.
Why didn't he
He's
start,
in his prime.
Why did he start so late, Trev?
I have no idea. That's just the story I heard, and I think it's awesome.
He's really busy.
I don't think he started playing baseball until high school.
He's not like from London, like what's the Giants' offense or defensive end? OC?
I don't think he's like OC.
He just didn't play.
Okay.
I don't think so.
You promised me that you don't think that?
In some ways.
All right.
Trev, the confidence you showed on that first one just shows how good a depth move this is.
There you go.
Wow.
Here we go.
You like depth.
The audience ranked them as the 16th or 18th best team. They're coming off a sub-500 year, but they did squeak into the playoffs. They've made the playoffs 3 seasons in a row. Craig Counsell going on his 6th season as manager. Jake, what else changed this offseason for these guys?
Ooh, what else changed, Jim? Totally forgot we do that, and I don't have the sheet up, so I'm going to have to get there. How about that?
Okay, Jake, can you tell us what changed with the Milwaukee Brewers?
Your Milwaukee Brewers, they lost some guys. Corey Evil Knievel out of the bullpen. He's on the Dodgers now. Watch for him to shove. Alex Claudio, a guy who's got a lot of major league outs too. He gone. Ryan Braun, former MVP, friend of Trevor Plouffe. He's currently unsigned. Ben Gamel, Jed Jerko, and Eric Sodergaard, Miss Soderberg, they're all currently unsigned. Who they did add, though, how about Colton Wong? Goes from the rival Cardinals. He'll be at second base. Derek Fisher, Jom's defensive specialist, might get some outfield run. Tim Lopes, Daniel Robertson, you could see them around the infield. That's a few of the guys they added to that lineup, Trevor.
The lineup's interesting. I kind of like it. I think there are some question marks there still, but, catcher, we got Omar Narvaez. At first base, moving over, our guy Keston Hira from Valencia High School, the Vikings. Purple and gold, kind of love it. Second base, we talked about him, Colton Wong coming over from the Cardinals. I'm going to shore up that middle infield defense with Orlando Arcia at shortstop. And then here, third base, shortstop, there's kind of, I would say maybe a spring training battle. I love those. But we got guys like Travis Shaw competing for that. Luis Urias is penciled in per Fangraphs. But we also have Daniel Robertson coming over. So there's going to be a lot of competition for those infield innings. And then in the outfield, we're short up. But we have our guys here led by, obviously, our guy, Christian Yelich, the MVP. Center field, Lorenzo Kane comes back after opting out of 2020. And then in right field, Mini Miggy, Avisel Garcia. Jim.
On the hill, they have the 1-2 punch of Woodruff and Burns, which I think sounds like Ace Law Firm. Behind them, Josh Lindblom, Adrian Hauser, the Puke King, Brett Anderson. How about that? Eric Lauer. Oh, their bullpen is really fun with Josh Hader and Devin Williams. They got some other guys, but I'm not even going to mention them. I'm just going to mention Josh Hader and Devin Williams, and that's really fun.
Damn.
Well, Brent Suter was part of a good... Didn't you have a breakdown on him when he rolled over?
Yeah, but I'm not mentioning
He's not mentioning him.
Hader and Williams. Okay. Just want to make sure everyone knows
about
those guys.
Another law firm.
Hader and Williams?
Yeah.
Not as good as Woodruff and Burns.
Never is.
Woodruff is incredible.
Woodruff and Burns is... I told their marketing team that they should, take a picture of them in suits on the mound and say, 1-2 punch protection or, something like that.
That's sweet.
There's some picture there.
There's something there.
Yeah. Woodruff and Burns.
We'll get you out of trouble.
Yeah. Leading the way.
Yeah. Go get a Buick endorsement.
Okay.
That's a kind of a new strategy.
Yeah.
But we like that.
Wow.
Woodruff and Burns. You like this team? This is our audience ranked them as the 18th team, which is bottom half. But this is a team that very well can win the division and believes that they can win the division. I think this is the first team we're doing that believes they can win their respected division on the team profile and projections, which is a fun spin. The audience has them pretty low for a team that believes in themselves. I still do think the Cardinals will be tough, but I think they are going to be competing for a wild card spot, if not the division, and have some fun games down the stretch.
These Brewers are sneaky. There's some high-level talents. It's Yelly, who's going to be in the running for the MVP every year. Woodruff and Burns, we're making a lot of lawyer jokes, but those are two guys you need to know as a baseball fan. Both those guys can drop dick on you in a big way. Jim, I've got something you're not going to like because there's a little caveat, but the Brewers have been to the playoffs the last 3 years.
Yeah.
NLCS, 29-31 last year, but they get the wild card spot. They lose to the Dodgers. So these Brewers have recent success on their side. I am worried about depth a little bit because, Trev, I know something that we've kind of been harping on. We like looking at those top 100 prospects, see who's next. They don't have those guys ready to go. So they're going to be leaning into their big guys. If Yelich is competing for the MVP, if Burns or Woodruff takes another step and can be in the NL Cy Young race, I think these Brewers, then yes, they have a chance at the NL Central. Jim, like what you were saying, I think we jumped up a tier. We just did the Marlins. We just did the Reds, who I like this team better than the Reds. The Marlins didn't really have a chance in their division. That's kind of not their problem. These Brewers believe. And yes, they're going to need some stuff to go right, but that's baseball.
Mm-hmm. Burns is an awesome pitch mix change guy. I really love those stories. If you've listened to a lot of episodes, you know that I have, and I will talk about it. He, in 2019, his numbers are pretty bad. He was mostly used out of the bullpen. He was four-seam heavy, Trev. In 2019, he threw his four-seam fastball 52% of the time, and the results were awful. Opponents had a 425 batting average against his four-seam fastball in 2019. They had an 823 slugging. 823 slugging against his four-seam fastball. That's the highest I've seen on a single fastball pitch. And his ERA was bad. His results were bad. He comes into the 2020 season, the four-seam fastball, he threw it 2.5% of the time. He completely scratched it. He said, all right, I'm going to take my sinker, which was 3.7%. That jumped all the way up to 33. And the cut fastball, wasn't even 1%. That jumps all the way up to 31. So now he's still throwing 66% fastballs, but no four-seam. Every fastball has a cut movement or a sinker movement. And he was nasty last year. It was nasty. So I love a tangible change like that. He had 2.11 ERA in 12 games, 9 starts. I mean, Cy Young votes in the shortened season. So I love tangible changes like that where you're like, wow, that's a drastically different pitch mix, and the results are drastically different.
I think they have some good coaching in Milwaukee, and that's one of the reasons, like you guys keep saying, they believe. That every year it seems like you kind of can count them out at some point during the season, and they make a run, and now 3 straight playoff appearances. So the culture is there, but they do need some of these guys to kind of jump back to where they were. 2020 wasn't kind to a few of their stars. And I think one of the guys that's going to make them go, obviously you have Yelly, needs to have a bounce back season, but he was one of the unluckiest hitters in all of baseball last year. So we're obviously not worried about him. But a guy like Keston Hiura, after looking at his numbers, he's been up for 2 years now. First year in the league, you could say he was one of the luckiest hitters in the league with a 402 BABIP. And he kind of came down, back down to earth last year, and all of his numbers suffered because of it. Now, 273 is not, extremely high for your BABIP. It's a little bit below average, but this is going to be the year. It's like, what kind of hitter is he? Is he going to be the guy that everyone thought was going to be in the middle of the lineup for 5-6 years? Or is he going to be a guy that, you kind of have to find a position for him? So if he steps up, and they have a few guys, like you said, the pitchers are kind of underrated, and we can see this team competing for another playoff spot in a weekend NL Central. Like you said, they believe they can even win this division. I don't see that out of this team, but they've proved me wrong for 2-3 years in a row now.
Hura is definitely one of the first guys you got to circle if we're doing what we're doing about the Brewers. He's moving over to first. Let's see how he adjusts there. This is a guy we had a laugh when we look back to his college days. He didn't really have a position.
He was listed as a DH in college.
Yeah, which is a little worrisome, but I mean, he played some second base. He should have the glove skills. He's a little undersized. Let's see what it looks like over there and how quickly he's adapting, because you don't want a situation where you're worried about how his defense is affecting his hitting. So I still believe in Hura. I mean, last year was his age 23 season. He did lead the team in home runs last season. It was kind of a weird hitting year in the NL Central. So I believe in him to bounce back. The other thing, a storyline that goes kind of overlooked, Lorenzo Kane. This guy opted out for a little bit. He only played 5 games last year. And what Lorenzo Kane are we getting? Are we getting the Lorenzo Kane that was almost 7 WAR player in 2018? Lorenzo Kane was hurt in 2019. His hitting stats were there. He still racked up a 3 WAR because he can be impactful defensively. But Father Time's starting to enter the chat. He turns 35 April 13th. Happy early birthday, Lorenzo. But hey, maybe he got a little rejuvenated last year. Stayed off the feet a little bit. So if Kane looks like Kane, if Hura bounces back, I mean, then that top of the Brewers lineup looks a lot more impactful than what it was because we all believe in Yelly. So that's kind of the lineup stuff. And then how that third base situation sorts out, Jim. I mean, we're a Travis Shaw pod now, right?
We're a Travis Shaw pod.
Okay.
I believe in Travis Shaw. Well,
I 100% do, but I also believe
I don't want to
Daniel
shout it from the
Robertson.
rafters.
I'm conflicted.
We're not rafter shouters.
No, I'm rooting for him because it seems like he had a really good September last year.
Bounce back from
2019's bounce back, and if he can pop like 30 home runs and play third base for the Brewers, that's a whole different team basically. I like that. I think Shaw or someone at third base, someone on the left side of the infield, having a surprise year. Adrian Hauser stepping back up to be a top of the rotation guy. Like he was pretty good in 2019. He had a bad 2020. He changed a lot of his pitching philosophy in 2020. He switched up his repertoire a little bit. And I think the COVID season hurt him a little bit. All of his pitches ticked down 1 or 2 miles per hour. So I'm looking at Hauser because if he can go Woodruff, Burns, and Hauser and add a third to the law firm, I think you're having a much better time in the rotation. You know, we don't need him to make partner yet. No, we don't need that, Trev, but we just need him there in the mix. You know,
I see. Like a junior exec or something.
Yeah, something like that. Like, you know, just needs to get his name back on.
You don't think Lindblom can make the title?
God, this is some great.
Lindblom's
names.
kind of a bad. Lindblom's kind of like
incredible too.
He was in there and they
he
kicked
loses
him.
the firm some credit.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, Lindblom?
Yeah, no. Yeah.
Isn't he the guy that took on that witch trial?
Do you know what this team is not scared to do?
Okay.
They're not scared to add at the deadline. Like if they're in it, that's kind of like what they do. Where are we? Where are we at? And then boom, they're not afraid to add. So I like the position they're in, mainly because I think the NL Central is so weak. Like if they were in another division, I'd be like, I'm not so sure about this. But like they know that. So and they're a smart organization. They really are. They know, hey, let's see what these guys are doing, where we're at, come around end of June. And make some noise.
I like that. Yeah, I think the depth is kind of my concern with this team because, you know, a couple injuries like to their big guys changes the whole dynamic of this team. I mean, they've got power players when you talk about Yelich, the law firm guys. The
defense will help. I mean, we're talking about a lot of sinker ball pitchers here with Hauser.
And Colton Wong and Lorenzo Kane, who are joining this team, I mean, are plus defenders.
Up the middle, that's going to be pretty good.
Yeah.
But I think they had a lot of errors at second base last year, and I think Hauser pitched into bad luck because he's sinker baller. Burns is sinker baller.
And I think another reason that we're liking this team more, like it feels like we jumped into another tier, is they have a playoff formula. It's Woodruff, Burns, it's Hader and Williams. And it's it's Yelich and whoever else helps him in the lineup. Like, if you run into this team for a 1-game wild card, or if you run into this team for a 5-game DS, they have a formula.
Yeah.
And I really hope fans are back in the stands because their ballpark and their fans, when things are good, it's one of the more electric places in the big leagues. It's so fun.
Tailgating, Trev? I feel like you always go there.
Tailgate. They're
love
full
that.
They pregame with the brat so they can soak it all in as they're drinking all day. And man, they get rowdy there, but a fun rowdy, like a really polite,
tastefully rowdy.
Rowdy, yeah, they're tasteful.
Rowdy Tellez.
Did I miss this while I was doing some extensive research? Did we talk about any prospects? Do they have any budding prospects, Jake?
So I kind of mentioned this with the depth piece. They have one top 100 prospect, and he's rated 100. He's not expected to be there till 2023. That's where I'm worried. When in this year, which should be some serious attrition and trying to go from 60 games to 162, if they have the injury bug big time, they're not digging into top prospects and let's see what this guy's got. They've got a gap right now. All their top 4 prospects aren't expected to be in the major leagues until 2022 or 2023. So I wouldn't be surprised as we record this. Jed Jorko was actually pretty solid for them, and he's a free agent right now. I wouldn't be surprised if maybe they can make something work early in spring training. They might want to add a couple veteran MILB type flex options because they don't have the young guys to dig into. Those guys are out there, so I wouldn't be surprised if they do a couple more moves like that. And Trev's right. If they're in it at the deadline, they've showed they're not scared to make the flashy move. Grinke, CC, whoever it may be. So stay in it, and they should be with the NL Central the way it's wired.
You think they're a player for Odorizzi? I mean, I haven't heard anything on that front. Like, do you think that's something that fits this team? I mean, obviously he helps any team, but are they needy elsewhere?
We should say while we record this, it's Feb 26, so Odorizzi could be signed.
That is true. That is true. He could be on this
I
team.
think we'd like them to be a player, but the other teams involved right now have bigger needs.
Yeah.
Phillies, Angels are the ones reporting.
They were shelling out money for Turner.
Yeah, they
didn't get him,
there.
so there's money that they already were committed to spending if they wanted to go spend that on someone else. I'm looking at this guy, Drew Rasmussen.
Ooh.
Yep.
I have no idea how Brewers fans feel about this guy. Let me know because it's kind of interesting, Jake. They called him up last year. He was a college pitcher, relief pitcher. They called him up. In his first 10 games, he pitched to a 1.98 ERA. He only allowed runs in 8 out of the 10. Really good.
Yeah.
His last 2 appearances, he gave up 4 runs and then 3 runs, so he ended the season with a 5.87 ERA. Those last 2 seasons kind of don't tell the full story. Maybe he has promise. I have no idea how they're using him, when they used him. Looks like probably, I mean, they used him, they used him in a tie game at one point. They used him at head 2. They used him at head 5. So they were using him last year. It's cool. I don't know anything about him, but I just saw him. He was one of their top prospects that debuted last year. Was doing well until it fell off.
I think we really have to mention, I mean, look, the loss of Ryan Braun can't be understated in Milwaukee.
It's true.
Yeah, but once he goes and wins that Israel Cup, then he's their trade acquisition.
There's your trade deadline.
That's 100% true. Like, we'll see if he does the Olympics, but he still is working out and he's ready to do the July signing type thing. So we'll see if that happens. But just that loss, even for the first couple months, I mean, I know people have strong feelings about him, but you go into that clubhouse and everyone will tell you he was the leader. And he's taken Yelly under his wing. They work out together in the offseason.
Oh, Trev, have you seen Yelly lately? We heard a little rumor that he is beefed up.
He works hard, man.
Caked up and waked up.
Put on 20 pounds.
They were doing garage workouts.
You know anybody else that does that?
You know. But look, that's a hole to fill. It's culture in your clubhouse. They have a good culture. He's created that with the help of others. But Yelly's got it now. I think Yelly's going to take over that role. Him and Kane will be those guys. And come July. Yes, Jake.
I've got an interesting question.
Yeah.
What do you guys like more on this team? The hitting or the pitching?
Equal.
Right?
Yeah.
Both very top heavy.
Defense as well. They played well in all facets.
It's just kind of funny. Like
they're like
Burns,
a perfect
Woodruff,
balance of
Hader, Williams in the pen, or they've got Yelly, Hura, Kane, Wong, and then people can talk themselves into Avisail Garcia or Travis Shaw or something like that. I think it's funny.
Don't include Wong.
He does what he does on offense.
Wait, not plus. He's average.
He gets on base.
Hey, the ballpark there, man, can bump those numbers up quickly. I know we're deadening the ball or whatever this year, but still, there's something about hitting in that park that just makes you feel similar to Houston. If you went in there and you didn't hit a homer, you were disappointed. So he's got enough pop. I can see him putting some balls in the seats this year, man. Fun
fact from Max is that Sogard had a crazy low whiff percentage last year for them.
Whiff. That's a good word, huh?
Whiff. The over-under is 82.5. DraftKings over-under. We're running a little bit longer because we're getting into the good teams that are fun to talk about.
That's fun.
You might have to bump the timer up to 25 minutes.
22.
Okay, well, then we're really close. 82.5. In that division, they're also playing the AL Central.
I like the Cardinals. I get sucked into that damn Cubs lineup. You know what, though? They do a little Braun ad and they add something else sneaky. The Brewers won't be out of it, so they're in it. I'll take the over.
I'm taking the over.
I want to take the over
Ryan's
as well.
hitting coach, so let's see.
DraftKings sweep?
We need to start writing these down beforehand because I feel like I just people are going to be like, oh, Jimmy just latched on. Like I'm a follower.
Nobody's going to think
people
that.
are going to think they're going to hold posters up.
Jeez,
well, I mean,
poster people.
Oh, wait, we're supposed to, Trev, here's something fun.
Yeah.
We're supposed to keep track of when all three of us are on the same thing, and we're going to tell DraftKings, and we're going to make like a Talkin' Baseball parlay.
Yeah.
If people want to like get odds to all the teams that three of us agreed, you can parlay all the overs and unders of Talkin' Baseball parlay.
I love that. I'll definitely pick the opposite side of that.
Plouffe's pecs.
So we need, let's get Researcher Max or BBD if you have it. Find all the ones we've already done where we're all three of us are on the same side, and then going forward. And then we'll choose which, and then maybe we'll reconvene and be like, which three we actually all.
I think we put good thought into this, and when we are on the same page, it's not forced. I think this is good.
I think that the Brewers, like after looking at it, and the division's weak. And I think they're going to, the biggest thing is Trev saying that the deadline, they will try to go for it. I don't trust the Cubs to do that. I don't trust the Reds to do that. I only trust the Cardinals and Brewers to really resupply the troops halfway through the season. So that's why I think that pushed me to the over there. I think it's a good line by DraftKings.
It is a good line. I think, again, that injury risk, if it's one of their big pieces, like that changes the whole Brewers' outlook instantly.
Yeah.
You lose Yelly for a month and a half, and it's like,
Woodruff, Burns, and Hauser.
We'll get you out of trouble.
We'll get you out of trouble.